Rebels! I'm Esther, and today I'm here with an amazing guest, Sinéad Burke. Hi Sinead, I'm so excited to be talking with you today. You are an advocate, a writer, a teacher, and a fashion trailblazer. So many things. But for those of you who may not know, can you start by introducing yourself and telling us a bit about who you are?
Hello everybody, my name is Sinéad Burke. I'm a white cisgendered woman. I use the pronouns she and her. I identify as queer and physically disabled. I have dwarfism. My background is in teaching, and I loved being in the classroom and I loved being a teacher. And I lead a team of majority disabled women across Europe. And our big goals are about making the world more equitable and more accessible.
I love that. Oh my gosh, you've done so much, and I can't wait to hear more about your journey. Now, one of the things you're known for is your incredible work in fashion. So what first sparked your love for fashion? Did you have a favorite outfit or style when you were little?
My two parents were brilliant ambassadors and advocates for me. My dad was a little person, so the idea that there was another person who looked like me at home was actually really transformative. I remember being about 14, 15 and going to him and saying, how do I figure out this clothes thing? Fashion to me felt like a vocabulary. It felt like a way in which to explain who I was. I didn't just want to wear clothes. I wanted to understand how the system worked. But I knew that there had to be others who felt excluded and that fashion had an obligation to do more because we all wear clothes.
It's so true and so real, and it's so cool that your dad as well was able to be that role model for you in that. That's so special. What do you think the biggest challenges were when trying to find clothes that express you in your entirety and fit properly?
I think when I was a lot younger, some of the greatest challenges was just availability and fit. I think it was the realization that there was a lack of clothing. The stores were not very accessible. Designers, CEOs, senior leaders, the people who were making those decisions, there was rarely, if ever, any lived experience of disability. And that kind of permeated through what was available in the store.
So your consultancy, Tilting the Lens, all about accessibility and inclusive design. Can you tell us more about it? What inspired you to start it?
For me, one of the real turning points was the pandemic. And when the pandemic happened, I had built much of my career traveling the world, having conversations. Then we had this pivot to remote working. We had data coming out with the New York Times saying more disabled people were employed ever before because we had changed the system of how we work, which acknowledged that workplaces are inaccessible, certain policies are inaccessible. So these two things came together and kind of had me trying to think about, what does long-term solutions look like? So began slowly over 4.5 years recruiting a team of 6 people across Europe to try to think about what a more equitable and what an environment with less friction could look like.
Wow, that's incredible. And I love the name, Tilting the Lens. How did you come up with that name?
I liked the idea of something that was reframing. I liked the idea that, how we see the world is subjective based on our own lens, based on our own perspective. And actually, if we tilted, if we pivoted, if we reframed it, if we saw it from a different perspective, wouldn't that be an opportunity to be creative, be innovative, but also have empathy and understanding and patience? And that was the idea.
Wow. And I feel like a lot of people, or a lot of girls watching right now, would love to know how they can make a change in their own environment and further encourage the world to be more inclusive. What's one small everyday change that they can make to help create a more inclusive world?
Where I would love to see us focus a little bit more attention is around this notion of accountability. How do we hold the values that we have ourselves? And how do we put them in action around the people that we love, even say particularly our friends? And I think about how many of us have been in situations where a friend or a family member says something or does something and we know it's not right. But I think about that kind of quieter advocacy that we could be saying to our friends, which is just something as simple as just saying, it's not cool, let's not do that, that's not it. And that's really hard. But I think it's really important.
It really shows how even small actions can lead to really big changes. We've spoken a lot about confidence today. What advice would you give to a tween who sometimes struggles to believe in themselves?
This world would be different without you. The world is better because who you are is knitted into the fabric of who we all are together. I think surrounding yourself with people who remind you of how good you are and how good you can be is really important. I think you have to give yourself a bit of a mantra to remind yourself that you are good enough just as you are, that the world is better because you are in it, and that we have yet to see all of your potential.
So beautiful. And if you could go back in time, okay, and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
We can get very taken in when we're younger about this idea of how many friends we have, how long we know them, etc. And I think just the reality is you will find your people. They are the people who love you and champion you and who give you feedback, but who want the best for you always. And sometimes we don't see those people as easily. But I think what I would tell 16-year-old me is to just go easy on yourself. Like, being 16 is hard enough as it is. Don't be the person who is, criticizing yourself because you don't have enough friends or don't have the right friends. So just go easy on yourself.
That is so powerful. And finally, my last question, what makes you a rebel girl?
I'm a rebel girl because as a disabled woman living in a world not designed for me, I'm redesigning it for me and everyone else.
Thank you so much for your time, Sinead. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you and learning more about you. And I'm sure the rebel girls watching feel just the same way.
Thank you so much for your time today.